If you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're someone who's ambitious, you set big goals for yourself, and you have big plans for your life. But for some reason, you find yourself trapped into this cycle where you're going hard for a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe even a month. You're disciplined, your room is clean, you're productive, you're working hard in your business, and you feel unstoppable. But out of nowhere, for some reason, you just fall back into old ways and habits where you're unmotivated, you're undisciplined, you haven't been getting anything done, your room is disgusting. And the worst part of this is that you know you're still the exact same person, yet at the same time you feel like two completely different human beings. If this doesn't sound like you, then you can just go ahead and click off this video. But if this does sound like what you've been going through, I really need you to listen up and pay attention and really watch till the end of this video, because what I'm going to go through in this video, I promise you it's going to change your fucking life. Understanding this concept has helped me to turn from a skinny, insecure kid to a man who is proud of his physique and is able to walk around shirtless full of confidence. Alright, so first up, you need to understand why this even happens in the first place, and the main concept that you really need to understand is homeostasis, which is the balance and stability our body maintains to function properly. So basically, you want to think of it like this. Your body has an internal pilot inside of it that is trying to regulate different variables like your temperature, your blood sugar, your blood pressure. And whenever something disturbs this balance, our body will try its best to try to restore it and return to being normal. So an example of this is the temperature, right? So your body will usually be between 36 degrees and 38 degrees. So you usually fluctuate between this. And what happens when your body reaches a temperature above 38 degrees, right? Is your body will be like in a state of like panic, and it'll try its best to return it to this range, which is the range it's comfortable with. So what will happen is basically your body will start to sweat and try to push it down back into this range, right? So when you have a fever, you'll start sweating, you'll start having this like cold sweats and stuff. But vice versa, when it goes all the way down below 36 degrees, your body will start shivering, you'll start trying to produce heat to try to push it back up. So why this concept is important is because it also applies to a subconscious identity. So you basically want to think of this top zone as you when you're performing your best, and this bottom zone as you on your literally your worst days. So you usually fluctuate around here, and you come down, and you have times where you're literally so productive, like you feel like you're breaking this part. And when you do that, your subconscious identity will try to protect itself, and what it does is you'll try to push it back down into this zone. That's why you feel like you've been productive for like a few days, you suddenly go back into this rut where you go back into this zone and it try to push you back down, because your brain craves normality and predictability. So when you start doing things that it doesn't seem to be normal, you'll try to push it back down. So vice versa, when you decide to have a shitty day, like on your literal worst days, when you're pushing down below, your brain will subconsciously be like, okay, this is getting too far, and it's going to push you back to start locking in slowly back again, right? Your brain is going to start feeling this guilt of not doing the work. And I need to understand that every area of your life, whether it's fitness, money, your mental clarity, energy, whatever it is, you have this internal temperature range that you unconsciously believe that you belong inside. So the moment you rise above this range, your destructive side will try to drag you back down, and the moment you fall below this range, your constructive side will try to push you back up. Your highs and lows isn't accidental. Your brain is literally programmed to keep you average, whatever your version of average is. And that's why you feel like two different people living inside of one body. That's why you build and destroy over and over like clockwork. And the worst part about this is that no one knows how to fix the actual root cause of the problem. Instead, they're just trying to fix the symptoms. They think that the solution is just having more willpower, more discipline. But the thing you need to realize is that the enemy isn't outside in these material things. It's inside of you. It's in the internal mirror. And until you fix that, you will never break out this loop. So now I'm going to talk about how you can actually break out this cycle, and the solution is basically just changing your identity for good. And now I have to warn you that this is probably going to be incredibly painful and difficult for you, because your brain simply hates change. Your brain craves for stability, for predictability, for certainty, and your brain is biologically wired to view change as danger. Just keep that in mind, that when you do embark on this journey, you're going to face a lot of resistance and fear. Alright, so the first step to actually changing your identity is awareness. You don't need more discipline, you don't need a better system, you don't need a better, more regimental routine. What you need to do right now is to look at the destructive side right in the eyes. And you need to do this without hiding, without any distractions, without any coping, and most importantly, you need to do this without any judgment. Because that's the moment where everything is going to change. When you change the internal self that has been fucking you up all this while. Alright, so right now, action step I want you to take is to go down in the description below and make a copy of this worksheet right here. And for this, I want you to leave a specific area or habit in your life that you want to fix, right? So for example, this is about posting content, and for me, this is my high point, right? This is the point where I'm the most productive. I'll be posting 2 times every single day, but you'll never be more than 2 times. I'll always get stuck at posting 2 times max a day and making 2 videos, right? This is the point where I never seem to break, right? So this is the point I never seem to break above, and vice versa. This is my lowest point where I'm not motivated at all, where I feel like shit. But no matter what, I'll still make sure I post one post every single 2 days. Like that is the bottom point that I never seem to break under. Like I'll post at least once every 2 days. So I want you to do this for yourself. It can be for sleep, it can be for your work, it can be for your fitness, it can be for eating, whatever it is. I want you to make a copy of this with your high point and your low point. I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. A low point, remember, is something you never ever break. At the lowest point of your life, no matter how depressed you are, no matter how unmotivated you are, this is the point where you simply never ever have been below. No matter how shit your life gets. These are the standards that your unconscious identity has formed in your life and you will never break them. Alright, so the second step we need to escape the cycle is confrontation. Alright, so there's 2 things here that we need to confront, the constructive and the destructive. But we need to start with the destructive first, because you need to understand that when you reach a low point, when you reach a lower standard, this is where your true colors are shown. It's here that you see who you actually are, not who you think you are, not who you claim yourself to be. This is where you see your actual true colors. So the main thing right now is to focus on fixing your low points first. So an example of this will be sleep, right? So if my high point is sleeping at 9 p.m. and my low point is sleeping at 4 a.m. The wrong improvement I'll make here is to sleep at 8 p.m. because I'm trying to improve my high point, right? So the right improvement here is to set this tiny improvement is that we'll never stay up past 3:30 a.m. So instead of trying to improve the high point, we are trying to improve the low point. Another example of this would be like YouTube. Let's say my high point is I post 3 videos a month, right? This is when I'm the most productive, and my low point is when I post 0 YouTube videos a month. So the wrong improvement I'll make here is I'll try to upload 5 videos. I'm trying to improve my best. But the right improvement is to aim for at least 1 upload per month. No matter the quality, no matter how shit I feel, no matter how depressed I am or whatever, I'll make sure I get that 1 upload out. Right, so the key thing to take note of here is that when you're improving your low point, you need to understand that you're improving your worst days. So it's unreasonable for you to have this big drastic improvements. You must lower your ego and make sure that the improvement is extremely small so that you can actually stick to it. If not, you'll just break past it and you'll break your subconscious identity again. So even on your worst days, you have to stick to this, right? I have to stick to at least 1 upload. Right, so the actionable steps right now is to really identify your low points and be brutally honest with it. Don't try to cope, don't try to hide from it, just be honest with it. And step 2 is to think about how you can improve this low point. And you have to make sure that this improvement is extremely small and easy to stick to. If not, you're just not going to stick to it, right? And the step 4 is to fight it. No matter how shit you feel, you have to make sure they enforce this improvement in your low point. You have to fight with every ounce of your strength and effort to make sure that you don't breach these new and improved standards that you set for yourself. Alright, next we're going to talk about the other side, which is the light side. But this side is a lot easier because this is where you're at your best, this is where you feel the most productive and you're the most disciplined and motivated. Alright, so the main thing we need to take note for this is when you're doing well, you need to notice when you start your destruction phase. Alright, so if you look at this is where you need to take note of before you start your crash, right? When you have this period of like productivity and then suddenly you have this crash where you come down back into your old version of yourself and you start doing all the bad habits and being undisciplined again. So the key thing is to find the trigger behind every crash, because every collapse has a cause and your job is to track it as thoroughly as possible. What thoughts showed up before you fell off? What emotions were you trying to avoid? Was there something that happened that caused this crash in your life? What pain do you run from? Don't sugarcoat it. Don't judge it. Simply just journal it from a point of an observer, not a participant. You need to understand that your destructive sides only win because you refuse to look at it and you judge it. Alright, so this is the last major step, which is identity engineering, which is basically just changing your identity. Alright, so the first step to this is that you need to identify your current identity first. You can do this by going into the same Google Docs that I've linked down before, and you'll see this step right here, domain-based belief. And I want you to ask yourself right now what I believe is true about this specific domain. So an example of this is money, right? You might think that making money is incredibly hard and strenuous. You might think you need to be intelligent to make money. Or for porn, right? You might think that porn is hard to quit. And you need porn to distress, you need porn to be able to fall asleep. Whatever it is, whatever beliefs they have about the domains that you're trying to fix in your life, write it down here. What comes to your mind when you think of this specific domain in question? The second thing is identity-based beliefs. For this one, you want to ask yourself, what do I think is true about myself in this specific domain? So you might think you're undisciplined, you might think I'm addicted to porn, you might think you can't focus for a long time, and you might think you don't have what it takes to succeed. List out everything that you think is true about yourself in that specific field. Do you think you're struggling? Do you think you're incompetent? Do you think that you're ugly or whatever? Whatever it is, just write it down. Alright, so the next step is you want to reverse all the beliefs that you have from negative to positive. So an example of this is that making money is incredibly hard and strenuous. You can make it to making money is incredibly easy. Some of these beliefs is the reason why you're getting dragged down and you're not making progress in your life. So you need to let go of them and turn them into positive statements. So you want to basically just delete all these negative beliefs you have and just reverse all them to actually good beliefs. And you want to do this also for identity-based belief. So if you think you can't focus for a long time, change it to I can focus for hours on end non-stop, and you want to make sure you really get that shit into your head. Alright, so these are the 3 main habits that you will need in order to re-engineer your identity and change the subconscious part of you that's holding you back. So the first is meditation. Alright, so how meditation works is pretty simple. All you have to do is just sit and focus on one sensation, and the most common one will just be your breathing. You do this and your brain will naturally just start to wander. You start getting thoughts about random stuff. There'll be a voice in your head like just yapping about random shit. And this might take a while. This might take like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? Like before you notice that when your brain wanders. And when that happens, you need to bring your focus back to the sensation, and you just repeat the whole process over and over again. Right? So many people always say like they can't meditate because their brain will start thinking about random stuff. But that's literally the whole point. The whole point of the meditation is for your brain to wander and for you to realize that and bring it back to the sensation. And how this helps to reprogram and re-engineer your subconscious identity is that it creates this relaxed and focused mental state where the subconscious will naturally just become more accessible and receptive to new beliefs. During meditation, your brain frequency will slow down. And this allows information to be more effectively passed on into your subconscious mind, therefore facilitating a stronger connection to your subconscious mind, allowing your identity to be re-engineered and reprogrammed. The next habit is visualization. So visualization is just you really visualizing in your head your life when all your goals has been achieved. So how visualization works is that when you create these mental images, and allow yourself to really feel the emotions of your desired self and outcomes, you allow your subconscious identity to rewire itself to align with these new patterns and to get rid of all these limiting beliefs that you have and reprogram your subconscious identity to the one that you're visualizing in your head. Alright, so the last habit is affirmations. So affirmations are just statements about who do you see yourself as, and you should build out a positive identity-based belief that you created earlier. Look at all the statements that you've reversed, and then write a paragraph where you're describing this new version of yourself. So affirmations help to reprogram your subconscious identity by repeatedly embedding these positive statements into your mind, which will gradually shift your underlying beliefs and automatic thought patterns. When you consistently repeat affirmations using I statements like I'm confident, I'm hardworking, I'm trying my best, or I'm capable of succeeding, your subconscious will naturally begin to accept this as truths, which will help to replace self-doubt and limiting beliefs. And for all these habits, you want to start small. You don't want to start from doing no meditation to trying to meditate for 30 minutes a day, right? You need to start small. So even just 1 minute, even just one breath of meditation is enough to get you started, and you slowly, progressively overload them. Alright, that's it for this video. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I think there are some parts where I didn't really explain it the best, but I'm still new to this. So if you guys have any suggestion on how I can improve, feel free to let me know as well. And if you're someone who's trying to get in shape and you need help with that, feel free to book in a call with me for my fitness coaching down below. Alright, peace.